let's kick it off. Again, just to reintroduce the webinar, we are going to be talking about analytics today, business analytics, what that means and how Webgility fits into the picture there. Obviously, myself and Parag are going to be here. We're joined by Linnea Lutz, who is the Director of Marketing. I'm just going to do a quick intro, just introduce myself and Parag, and then I'm going to hop off camera and let Parag take it from here until the Q&A session. So I'm John May. I am the video and engagement manager here for Webgility. So I do a lot of the YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram content regarded or kind of centered around video. And then I'm sure Parag doesn't need much of an introduction, but I'll let him kind of speak for himself there. He is our fearless leader. He's going to be talking a lot today about the benefits of analytics and how you can use it to level up your business here. So before we do get started, I did want to run a poll just to kind of kick things off, get I guess a barometer for everybody, where everybody's at with analytics and how you guys interact with data currently in your business. So let me launch it here. And the poll is going to be where you get your analytics data today. Awesome. So I will close the poll here. Looks like about 40% of you said that you don't track analytics at all currently. So that's good that you're here. It's kind of what we're here to talk about. Another 20% say that you use your sales channel directly. Another 20% say you use QuickBooks directly. And then 20% of you say you use a third-party analytics tool. None of you use Excel, which is sort of surprising to me, but yeah, let's get right into it. So I'll let Parag take it from here. I'll drop off video. Again, if you guys have any questions, if you want to start a conversation around any of the topics we're discussing, just raise your hand. I can unmute you, and then we can have that discussion. Otherwise, we can talk about it in the Q&A session as well. Take it away, Parag.
Awesome. Thanks so much for the intro, John. Hello, everyone in the audience. I'm excited to do this webinar with all of you. It's been quite some time since I've been on one of these, so it's good to be back in action. I know John's been doing a great job presenting for us for the past several months now, but hopefully you've all had a chance to learn a little bit about analytics, and seems like the poll results clearly show that many of you are not leveraging tools for analytics today. And that's a really good segue into my first slide, which is really talking about, you know, how 60% of small businesses don't really leverage analytics. And I often find that analytics is kind of looked at as this sort of real complicated term that's going to just spit out a bunch of reports that you might not know what to do with. Almost every app out there says they have analytics. And so the big question is sort of why don't small businesses really leverage analytics? In fact, why don't 40% of you leverage analytics? And here's what our research kind of says. It's usually, first and foremost, if you're talking about data, given all the privacy and number of channels that merchants are on today, access is usually the number one challenge. You don't have access to actually the data that you need to actually be able to do really good analytics. The second is typically time. You know, often you find a barrage of reports, you see lots of information, but you need to spend some quality time to really understand you know, what the analytics mean and how do you dissect all of that to make sense of it. The third big reason why we see small businesses not leveraging analytics is because the data is fragmented. So it's usually because, you know, you're using, say you're selling on Amazon, you have a Shopify store or BigCommerce or WooCommerce, Magento, you have your QuickBooks for your accounting. Different systems give you different types of reports, but the data is kind of scattered everywhere. And how do you make all these fragments really come together and give you one kind of holistic view of what's happening? It's also sometimes not clear what the analytics are telling you. Can be expensive, certainly. And last but not least, it's really, you know, oftentimes hard to understand because data can be interpreted in so many different ways. And if you talk to, as I do, with a lot of different merchants, everyone seems to have a different opinion on perhaps even how the same report, call it even a sales report, should be actually shown. But we feel that, you know, there's definitely a lot of value in analytics. And let's really talk about kind of why is it important, right? And what makes it really, really complicated. So as I mentioned, if you're a multi-channel merchant, like most of our customers are, you know, you have different reports giving you different information from different channels. And the data is usually very disjointed. It lacks full visibility. It's not even measured usually on a period of time because Amazon gives you settlement reports every couple of weeks. You're looking at Shopify, maybe your payouts every day. You might be looking at your QuickBooks on a monthly or even a quarterly basis in terms of a P&L report. And net, it boils down to oftentimes using Excel, as many of our current customers, and it's sort of fascinating that everyone that's attending today, you don't even track it, or you're looking at your sales channel report, or 20%, for example, are using QuickBooks. And let me kind of talk about, why one is better than the other, right? So if you're a single channel merchant, let's just talk about your sales channel report. Your sales channel report is only going to capture revenue. It does not capture costs, unless you're entering your cost data there. And even that's going to be incomplete because you're not managing costs and POs in detail in your sales channel. But Shopify, for example, if you go to your sales reports, that's going to give you one snapshot of what's happening, but it's not going to actually tell you your fees until you get your Shopify payout. In the case of Amazon, you get a sense of what your sales are on a daily basis, but until a settlement actually occurs, you don't know what that payout is going to look like. And you don't know what all the fees are that are going into that payout. So you're going to be waiting until the end of every 2 weeks or so to then look at the payout details, and that's going to get, kind of, it's lagging information. And when you look at QuickBooks, a lot of times, as we're seeing from the poll, about 20% are looking at the data from QuickBooks. Now, thanks to Webgility, of course, and obviously, I'm going to try really hard not to do a sales plug for Webgility, but this is kind of what we eat, sleep, and breathe. But what we do with Webgility is obviously we're bringing in your order data near real time into QuickBooks, and that's one of the key advantages of using Webgility, right? Is that we're able to bring all the order data in to QuickBooks. So not surprisingly, 20% of the audience today is using QuickBooks for reporting, because we do bring in the orders on a daily basis or even more real time basis, so you can start to run more detailed reporting. But also keep in mind that depending on the different channels, your fees are not coming into QuickBooks very frequently. And QuickBooks does a great job of giving you a high-level P&L, but to be able to do channel-level analysis requires definitely a third-party tool or an Excel that you've really formulated that gives you that insight. So data can be complex, and through all of the surveys that we've done and all of the market research we've done, we've found on average, when customers are using an analytics application to do detailed analysis, not only are they learning more and they're making 10 times better decisions, but it's impacting their bottom line directly. We're seeing a 3 to 7% increase in margins because you're able to analyze what's happening at your product level, and you're really able to understand which channel is performing, where you should be spending your money. We're also seeing a higher increase in profits per product. So if you can really figure out which products are performing, which channels are working, you can then generate, you're 5 times as more likely to generate profit from your products if you have detailed analytics than not. And we've also found that you can analyze your customer behavior, your patterns. In fact, something that one of our merchants during our studies revealed is just by knowing the time of the day, looking at a report and being able to see the time of day when certain orders come in, they're able to actually staff differently, and they're able to do promotions differently on the daily or a weekly basis. And that's lead to about a 27% improvement in customer retention and repeat buyers. So there's proven insights that if you leverage analytics, it's going to be beneficial for your business. And I'll give you obviously a sneak peek into our analytics solution, and we'll use some time in this webinar to certainly open the open the questions line and answer any questions that you have with regards to what we've built and what we're planning to build. But yes, hopefully it goes without saying, the data is there. You're going to learn more about your business, and analytics is going to be beneficial. So let's jump into kind of really the detailed benefits of using analytics. And I may be preaching to the choir here, so I'm going to try to run along, but I see about 40% of you are not using any kind of tool and not doing detailed analytics. So this is really speaking to you guys is, if you're not running some sort of an analytics tool or you're not doing analysis, you're really missing out on where you're making your money. Most merchants I've talked to tend to rely on their high-level P&L to give them a sense of what their profitability is as a business, which is fantastic during the early days of your business. But as you mature, as you sell on more channels, expand your catalog, look at different types of even customer types, or look at even going international, having a really good sense of where you're making money, understanding your channel, your product performance, understanding your seasonality, what sort of trends you're seeing in your business, that level of insight is invaluable for you to be able to make better decisions and impact your growth. So ultimately at Webgility, our goal is to help you grow faster. And if we can give you that information, that's invaluable. And ultimately, not only are you going to know where you're making your money, but part of that is not just revenue, right? So sales channels, I think, do a fantastic job of telling you what your sales revenue is. But what you're really missing behind the scenes is typically packed in this really complicated Excel sheet or a invoice you get at the end of every payout period, is where your fees are. What are your fees? How much is Amazon fees costing you? What are your shipping fees? And what are those trends over time as you're selling more? And also, how do they compare from channel to channel? So knowing where you're spending your money is as important, I think, as it is knowing where you're making your money, your top line. Knowing your fees is really, really critical. And ultimately, what we want to understand is, how do we manage cash flow? I mean, we know you know, the economy's really tight right now. E-commerce has slowed down a little bit over the last 12 months. We're hearing a lot of noise in terms of, obviously, the interest rates going up. And so, you know, cash is king, right? Your ability to understand your inventory levels, your cash flow can help you get that edge. So you're managing your cash well. You're not creating dead stock in your warehouse. You're not, you know, overspending and keeping track of inventory, or really filling up your warehouses, or under tracking and you're overselling your products. You want to be really thoughtful about your stock levels. And all of that really comes down to visibility. And so if you're not using a tool or some sort of solution to track what's happening with your inventory and which products are performing, that makes it really, really hard to manage also your cash flow and ultimately optimize your cash flow, because cash is obviously becoming more and more expensive. Another benefit we'd see is obviously increasing your overall margins. So if you get a sense of how you're selling more, you can optimize your costs, improve your cash flow. Now you can really start to get detailed at a product level and start to tweak how you adjust your profitabilities, what sort of levers you have at a granular level, and also how do you increase your margins by improving a customer experience so you can get repeat customers. So it all ties together to just ultimately growing faster and making more money. I also think about analytics, and a big benefit of analytics as being able to do a lot of experiments. So oftentimes our merchants will launch a new channel or experiment with something new in terms of a product or a promotion, and they don't necessarily have all the tooling to be able to understand how that experiment is performing. And so having an analytics solution makes it really easy for you to, well, to be fair, really easy relative to not having something. It can get complex depending on what sort of experiment you're running, and you really do need to figure out how you're going to design and track your experiment. But your experimentation is going to become incredibly easy relative to having a spreadsheet if you are able to build out a really good strategy for how you're going to be measuring your performance of those experiments. And by connecting your sales channels to an analytics product, you're going to be able to see in more real time what's happening with those experiments, and you can adapt more quickly. And last but not least, I think of data as kind of the real I think of data as really the sort of primary driver of business success. It gives you the leverage, the differentiation, the control that you need to have over your business. And again, we work with merchants across the board, from those that are just getting started to many that are running, $50+ million businesses. And throughout the gamut, I think those folks that have exhibited better control of their data, who have understanding of what their trends are, and are actually spending the time to analyze their performance, feel just a heightened sense of control, and also being prepared. So you know when there is a downturn, when certain products start to perform differently, what actions you can ultimately take and get yourself back into the driver's seat. Now, this is a good segue into the demo of our Webgility product, but I want to take a quick pause here and make sure I can address any questions. So if you have any questions, please, there's a go to webinar section on the right side. Please feel free to poll the panel, type in your questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. And we're also going to unmute the mic. So if you're just interested in joining the conversation with me, I'd love to chat with you live. Just raise your hand, send out a quick chat message, and we'll be happy to bring you into the conversation and speak live about what we're offering at Webgility and any questions you have around analytics. So jumping back in, it's very important to know as a Webgility customer, your analytics are really already waiting for you. So the beauty of what we have built with Webgility's analytics solution is that it's powered using all of the same data, all of the same connections that you've already connected and are leveraging as part of your Webgility Pro, Advanced, or Premium solution. Because you already have established connectivity to sales channels, Webgility is already pulling in your sales and order data. We're already connecting to your accounting system, and we have all of that data already stored securely in our cloud. So it pretty much magically lights up the moment you log in to your Webgility Analytics account, and all of that data is aggregated. And we also maintain historic information as long as you're a customer and we have access to that data, thanks to your approval. We will store that information and you're able to go back and do a lot of historic reporting and insights as well. So without further ado, jumping over from my presentation, I'll hop over and I'll give you guys a sense of what our analytics products looks like. So I'm going to be jumping between a couple of different screens. So pardon me and feel free to jump in and ask questions if I'm going too slow, too fast. But with the Webgility Analytics product, if you're a customer of Webgility Online, you'll see a new tab here on the left. It's called Analytics. And the Analytics tab opens up for you. And it starts off by giving you the first report. There are 3 key sections in Analytics. The first one is called Sales. The second is Profitability. The third is Payout. And as the names imply, the Sales tab gives you an overall trending of how you're doing across sales for all of your channels. Profitability actually gives you a breakdown of your profits, and then you can start to analyze them at a channel level. And last but not least are payouts. And so far, we've implemented Amazon settlement payouts. We're going to be launching Shopify payouts here next month. And we're working on payout reporting for all the major marketplaces over the next quarter. So you'll start to see those additional reports start to populate over time. But we started with the most important one, Amazon, and we're adding Shopify here next. So this is the sales tab, and I'll just go and hide the left column here so you can see a more expanded view. On the sales tab, you're going to be able to see what your gross sales are. And what's most important is that we have this date range, so you have a lot of flexibility over how little or how much information you want to see. You can filter it by date range. This particular demo account is connected to all of these different channels, so I can definitely do a quick filter, and instead of showing me aggregate channels for a particular looking at one particular channel, I can actually filter it down, or I can look at it on an aggregate basis across all of my channels. So if I go back to my search all view, I see gross sales here. If you're connected to a sales channel and you have multiple marketplaces within there, you can also dig in at a marketplace level. So say you've connected to Amazon and you sell on Amazon US and Amazon UK, you can use the store dropdown to select that. And I'll go into this a little later, but you can also do search at a product level. So you'll be able to see what your gross sales performance was for a given product. And if you're selling in multiple geographies, you can do all of this slicing and dicing at a currency level, so you can look at transactions that occurred only in US, or if you're selling in Canada or you're getting transactions in UK, you can do filters across that. Coming in here to a little bit more detail, as you can see, there's a gross sales performance trend. You can hover over this on any given time period, and it will tell you what your total gross sales were, and also give you a sense of what your quantities were. How many orders did you have during that time period? We're telling you what the total orders and also the average order value. We have a waterfall chart here, so it can tell you for your 131,000 for this particular sample data count, 131,000 in revenue. This is roughly the split. So you have BigCommerce that's generating 6,000, Etsy, Shipping Easy, Shopify, and so forth. So the waterfall adds up. And on the right here, and as you, this gives you essentially a heat map of what your top performing products are. So you can see that this Monkey Business Raincoat was really the one that generated the most sales of 108,000, and the color represents quantity. So even though this sold in terms of most gross sales, you can see from a color coding perspective, this SKU 82 is the actual one that drove the most quantity. Again, this is the type of analysis that can be really, really powerful to help you understand how your channels are performing, how your products are performing, and really start to dig in to individual details. Similar to this performance trend, which gives you very flexible reporting across a date range, a lot of our customers told us that they wanted to be able to use analytics and look at information around what's happening on a daily basis and kind of use this as the dashboard of how they do reporting or how they track their business, really just put it up on a big monitor screen and refresh every now and then. So we've got a today view, which tells you on an hourly basis what sales you're getting across all of your channels. Again, you would not be able to get this view by looking at any single sales channel. You would need to have a tool like Webgility's Analytics to be able to aggregate and see it in one shot. We look at not only the number of sales you have, what the hours are, order numbers are on an hourly basis, and there's a cumulative count, so it tells you what your gross sales and AOV is. We also pull in kind of the distribution of those orders. We show you which orders are and what their status is. So for the 12 orders we have so far today, 6 have already been marked completed, 2 are canceled, and 4 are open. So you're also getting a near real-time look at how your multi-channel business is performing from a single dashboard. We also have this really cool view that's a geographical view that tells you kind of at a high level which states you're getting your orders from. We have a channel heat map that kind of tells you at what time you've particularly received a bunch of orders. So you can see this particular store in Etsy had a 4 a.m. rush, seems like. And so you got a bunch of orders coming in for Etsy and WooCommerce. Again, this is a test account. And then if you scroll down further, we have top 10 products sold today by sales volume, top 10 products sold today by quantity, and we break down for each of these what is the order status for each channel. So you get a real 360-degree view as a business owner or as an operator, what's happened across all of your multiple channels from one single dashboard. I should mention that all of these reports are expandable, so you can, if you want to kind of dissect this, you can just maximize and you'll get a full view. And you can also view summary data. You can export this stuff if you ever had to. If you wanted to look at certain orders by status, again, by currency. And because we're doing behind the scenes automated refresh, we give you a quick snapshot here of when was the last time this data was updated. You can see it was 8:14 Pacific. Similar to the today view, this is exactly the same view, but instead of telling you what happened today, this is telling you what happened this month so far. So we're in the 23rd of the month. You can see how my month has been trending. Similarly, what my heat map is on a daily basis. Again, seems like March 6th was a really great day. And again, a look at total products sold by volume, the order statuses, what's been delivered, what's completed, what's open. You get a really good sense of what's happened across your multi-channel business on an aggregate basis. So this is a great summary view that a lot of sellers use to look at trends and also identify what their top contributors are on a monthly basis. The next graph we have over here is our forecast tab. This is one of our really cool features that we launched with this initial release of analytics. But this is using a machine learning algorithm. As you can tell, we use a tool behind the scenes. All of this data is powered by Amazon. We use Amazon's QuickSight, which has a machine learning algorithm that gives you kind of a trend analysis based on your past several months of data. Last 14 months, we can forecast out kind of what the prediction is going to be and what the high and lower bound is going to be. Now, really, I don't have real time sort of, we put a lot of test data in here, so it's not going to be indicative of a real live customer's trend. But once you plug this in, this will start to give you a much clearer picture of what your trend line is. As you can see, this particular test account had a decline over the last 4 months, so it's showing kind of the gradual decline trajectory. It's also showing what kind of number of orders am I going to have on a daily basis rolling forward to the next 30 days, and it gives you kind of an upper and lower bound as well. The longer this algorithm runs and captures more historic data, the higher the accuracy of this information. So over time, this will start to really become a really, really powerful tool once you're plugged in. Similarly, it gives you kind of a sales revenue forecast for the next 14 days, and it gives you a sales forecast for the next 30 days. And kind of based on the trending, what the higher and upper bound are going to be. And last but not least, on the sales tab, you have comparisons. So one of the things that we find from our merchants is that our customers tell us all the time, obviously I want to know what's happened this month, but I want to be able to compare, especially for those that have seasonal businesses. I want to really learn what's happening this month compared to last month. I also want to be able to compare what's happened this month compared to last year. Those are the two most commonly asked comparisons that merchants run. And so we've just gone out and built those features out of the gate. So if you look at this particular chart, this dashboard gives you for your date range of last 2 years, you get a sales month to date, month over month. So we're comparing this month to last month, and we're showing this to you both in a graphical format and in a pivot table on the right. And you can kind of see that month over month, BigCommerce is generating 376%, 78% more. This one's, performing less. Also, if you look at scroll down here, you're going to see year-over-year performance. And at the bottom, you're going to be able to see sales year-to-date. Scrolling down further, you basically have this comparison, and you can do this at a channel level, and you can start to also just drill this down if you want to compare more specifically a particular channel or a grouping of channels. The second tab I'm going to jump over to is profitability. So those were all the reports around sales, and the second report we have is a profitability report. So let me quickly filter this out, and we're going to be able to take a look at this. Profitability is a really powerful tool. Again, you have similar filters of looking at profitability by sales channel, by store, and by date range. But what profitability report does is that for that given date range, it tells you what your net proceeds were. It gives you a financial snapshot. Again, you don't have to wait to record all of your data into QuickBooks, wait until all of the data is massaged, and look at it at the end of every month. You can get a near real-time view of what's happening with your store's profitability and your multi-channel business's profitability. So the way that this works is it pulls in the revenue from all of your channels. It then brings in the sales. It is able to calculate the refunds. It brings in the cost of goods sold. And what we're really looking at is give me a second here, just going to hit refresh. What we're looking at is the breakdown of revenue, refunds, and the cost of the item is pulled typically your costs will be in your financial system of record. So we're bringing the cost of goods sold of the products that have sold. As long as you have them recorded in QuickBooks, we're bringing that cost information in, and we're going to mark that as cost of goods sold. We also capture cost of sales, which is a combination of any fees that you encountered on your sales channels, your selling fees, your advertising fees, if you're plugged into a payment processor, your payment processing fees, and earnings before taxes, the taxes you've collected, your net profit, and your net profit percentage. And as you hover over this, you can actually see all of this information on a daily basis. It gives you your net proceeds. And if you break this down, we're also showing you a table of what your net profits are by sales channel. Again, imagine how powerful, simple, right out of the gate this tool is to be able to help you look at the health of your business, your profitability, and your performance across your channels by channel once all the systems are connected. And I can't stress enough, it's all about just plugging in the data. Once the data is plugged in, we're able to bring all of that information in. A question actually just popped up in the window, and it is related to profitability, so I'm going to address it really quickly, is profitability. We in fact, so the question is, can we go down into more details of some of these fee items? So yes, the answer is yes. In this current release, we're collecting information and feedback from our merchants, but one of the requests we definitely have received is, can I see a further breakdown of this fee? So I'll just go ahead and expand this table. Today, we show this as an aggregate, but going forward, you'll see like a little radio button here, or I should say an expand button here, and we're going to be adding the capability so you can expand that item and actually look at granularly what each of the fee types were. Initial feedback we got from our merchants was that they wanted to see more things at an aggregate level, but we're also getting feedback that some merchants are power users and they'd like to see it in more granular basis. So yes, we're definitely working to enhance that. In our next release, in fact, next month, we'll have the ability to see this feel in more detail. Thank you for that question. Very relevant. So this is a high-level view of profitability. I can't stress enough how powerful this screen can be as a business owner and operator to tell you the health of your business and to be able to look at the profitability over a particular period of time. Last but not least, I'm going to show you a payout report. And for those of you that know, Amazon is notorious in terms of being able to provide any kind of test account data. So some of this report might not make all the sense. I'll actually jump over to a quick test account I have with some sample data on this particular screen, so I can try to give you a better sense of the payout report. Yeah, I think this one looks a little bit cleaner. But basically what we do here is we give you the payout that occurred from your Amazon report. So every time you have an Amazon settlement, we bring that in and we show you in a neatly organized way what your beginning balance was, what your account level reserve is, what were your sales, your product charges, your shipping, your taxes, anything else, your refunds, and we aggregate all of your fees, your Amazon fees, your FBA fees, any tax that was collected or remitted on your behalf, and then we tell you what your net proceeds is, and this is what should line up directly to what Amazon deposited in your account. And we're looking at these settlement reports, and we're breaking them down so that in this particular merchant, you can see this test account, we have 8 settlements, and if you had multiple Amazon stores, you'll be able to see it by channel. So each Amazon storefront would have a breakdown here, and you'll be able to know what your account level reserves are and what your settlements are for each of your Amazon sales channels. So that's a high-level view of what the Amazon settlement feature looks like. And again, you can go into any particular settlement, just hover over it, and it'll tell you exactly what the breakdown was, both on this chart and in the report. So all of the reports that I mentioned to you, by the way, they are interactive. So if you ever want to, select a particular month and just want to analyze what happened during that period of time. So let's say I do this guy, I'm just gonna drill down to this particular, and you can also do drill down and drill up. So you can look at a particular month and go down to the day. If I do, let's see here, yearly basis, jump over to this year. And if I simply hover over, I'm going to be able to look at the performance of that particular day, and I can drill down even on an hourly basis how I performed for that particular day. So really, really powerful insights, lots of information. I know I covered a lot in a short period of time, but this would be a great opportunity. I know there's a few questions already lined up, but John, Linnea, let me know if we're in a good shape, and I'm happy to jump back in and answer any questions from the audience.
Yeah, I think the timing's been great. Yeah, a couple questions in the chat there, and I think now would be a good time to jump into the Q&A overall. I know I see Liz had a question about the pricing of Webgility Intelligence.
Yeah. So the pricing is available on our website, and we are offering a 50% off of the first year for anyone that signs up from this webinar. So we're excited to have your feedback, and we really appreciate the time that you're spending to learn about analytics. So that's just a small token of our thanks for your time, and certainly because this is one of our newer feature releases, we'd love to obviously get feedback from all of you on what you think we might be able to do to even further improve the product. So definitely let us know if you have any input or any questions. John, any questions from the audience you'd like me to take up?
I know you did mention that we are looking to build things out a little bit more related to the brick and mortar scenario, but anything that you might want to add to the conversation there? I'm not sure if your question's fully answered, but
Yeah. I'm actually, I just got booted out of my trial. So I'm just going to log back in. But something to point out is that the set of connections that we support with the analytics product today is kind of limited to the sales channels we connect to today, and we're always expanding. So this the next couple of quarters, we're going to be adding a lot more connections to the analytics products, especially around point of sale. So we expect we're going to be launching our coverage for Lightspeed and for Clover. So analytics data for both those channels will also be available. Again, we have a lot of multi-channel sellers and brick and mortar sellers in our customer base as well. So they're able to leverage that capability. And so far we have, really good feedback from the channels that we support, but brick and mortar point of sale systems is definitely one place where we're going to be adding more coverage. I see another question actually just came up here with regards to payouts. Yeah, so we don't support Shopify payouts yet, but you can see it's coming soon. And we started with Amazon because that's obviously the most common scenario, and probably also the most complex scenario, because Amazon settlement reports can be so tedious to understand. But Shopify payouts are coming next, and we're going to be showing you a breakdown of all of the Shopify related fees and the trends of those payouts over a period of time as well. So yeah, you'll see Shopify payouts here load up. We're also going to add a detailed view on Amazon settlements, as I mentioned. So instead of kind of just categorizing everything as a summary Amazon fees, we'll also break it down for you. So you'll be able to dig into the Amazon fees at a very granular basis and be able to look at what happened with that performance. And similarly, we're going to be adding support for more marketplaces. So look for Walmart, Etsy, definitely eBay as well. We're going to be adding those payout reports over the course of the year. So again, not a one-time release. We're continuously collecting feedback, and a lot more to come in terms of the profitability. I have another question from the audience. Yeah, this is about Webgility Intelligence. So yeah, I know last year we had a product called Webgility Intelligence. One of the big pieces of feedback we got from our merchants was that they wanted a more integrated experience with our online or our desktop solutions. And so analytics is just a rebranded way of that product called Intelligence. But we've also pared down the solution quite a bit. So we had launched our intelligence product with a number of reports. There are actually about 90 plus reports to be exact. And the feedback we got is that our merchants wanted something a little bit more compact, more consolidated, focused on most things that matter. And so this is our iteration. This is our next iteration of that intelligence product, where you can be able to look at your sales, profitability, and payouts. Those are the three things we've heard time and time again that really matter to merchants, and that's how they're driving their business growth. And so, yeah, this is the next iteration. And as always, we'd love to hear any feedback you have, and look forward to working with you. And, again, analytics is really, really crucial to your business. So please make sure that you check it out. And this, I have another question. Will this webinar be posted somewhere? The answer is yes. We will be posting the webinar, I believe, John, on our YouTube channel as well as our website.
Yes, to both of those. Yeah. So the YouTube video will be out next week. We're going to be sending it to any attendees as well, directly in an email. So just look out for an email from the team. And then if you want to watch it back on YouTube or on the site directly, that's always an option. Yeah.